Good morning. It's Wednesday, November the 11th, and this is Wisdom for Your Week. We've all heard that old saying about money. You can't take it with you, and that's true. The Jewish rabbis had a similar saying. They said that burial shrouds have no pockets. The fact is, not only can you not take your wealth with you, wealth does not one bit of good when it comes time for God's judgment. That's the point Solomon is making in our verse for today. Proverbs 11, verse 4 says, "Wealth is worthless in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death." Solomon paints a picture of contrast in this verse. Contrast between wealth and righteousness, between something that will be useless on the day of judgment and something that will rescue us from that judgment. For all the good that wealth might do us on this earth, wealth will do us no good when we stand before God in judgment. Now, wealth itself is not evil, depending on how we make it and what we do with it. God gives us that ability to accumulate wealth, and that wealth, if used wisely, can do good things on this earth. It can take care of our family, it can be invested for the future, it can be shared generously with those in need, it can be used to spread the gospel. But the usefulness of wealth ends on the day of God's judgment. That word judgment speaks of a fearful time, a time when God will release his wrath on all those who reject his son Jesus. And in face of that terrible wrath, wealth will do no good. Solomon says here, wealth is worthless on that day. All the wealth in the world will not buy one bit of influence with God. All the wealth in the world will not sway God's decision to judge wickedness. All the wealth in the world will not lessen one bit God's sentence of wrath. For all the good that wealth might do on this earth, it will do us no good when we stand before God's judgment. The other side of the contrast is clear. It is righteousness. For all that wealth can't do on the day of God's judgment, righteousness will do. Righteousness will deliver from that awful wrath God pours out on the unbelieving. But understand that this is not our righteousness. This is not our goodness or our good works. It is the righteousness of Jesus Christ. What Jesus did on the cross allows us to be accepted by God and therefore spared of his wrath. So when God looks at us, he doesn't see our unrighteousness, our sin. He sees the perfection of his son Jesus and his righteousness. And on that day, that's all that matters. And that's wisdom for your week.